So we have another 4chan leak, and we all know 4chan leaks are 100% accurate and true.
Always have been, always will be.
No, not never. It's an interesting read, but please do take what you're gonna hear with a grain of salt, as this on cooldown weekly WoW news stuff is gonna focus on this mostly, because it is an interesting read, and the reason why we go into it and possibly just figure out what is totally bullshit and made up here and what could possibly make sense is that Kern, I don't know if you know him, but he's basically the dude who's like really advocated for WoW Classic. Well, back when he was a WoW Dev developer at some point for Vanilla, and you know, he's a pretty grounded dude. Sometimes can be a douche, but he made a really long tweet about this and actually reflecting what he believes has been happening in Blizzard. So this is why we're tackling it. But again, this is really off of reality, I would say.
It's a lot of the things that we kind of speculated and maybe want to hear. So some of it sounds a little bit not too good to be true, because we don't really want a lot of this to be true, but it kind of confirms some of our suspicions.
We're still naive like that and believe there's good things in Blizzard. So that's the thing, right? And the most interesting part was the reference to Asmongold, which we would get to because it's fucking hilarious. But okay, so we shall start to read and just stop on, you know, things we find okay and things that don't really add up. So, okay, 2021 has seen the player-based media and gaming at large turn on WoW to a degree I don't think the leads in their positivity dojo bubble considered possible. It's gone from people going, this is how Blizz needs to fix WoW, to WoW is no longer salvageable, time for greener pastures. Which it's kind of, you know, this has been talked a lot around.
This is nothing new though. It doesn't sound like it's...
Well, I do believe the leads. So he's talking about the leads, you know, the higher ups, you know, they're being in their positivity dojo bubble.
That actually kind of, I don't know if it's true or not, but that kind of makes sense, because you have to think about why is the game in the state that it is, and why are the decisions made the way that they're made? Are they just blatantly doing this, or are they living in a positivity?
We've been saying for a whole time now in a lot of the videos that it does appear that they kind of live in their own world for some aspects of the game. But let's go even further. Yeah. Okay. And I think on some level this was never considered as a possibility. So there have never been any major plans beyond the usual try and minimize player drop off by arranging releases around competitors launching updates products. The official forums being filled with talk of Final Fantasy. It's
farts, everybody.
And worse, why do I actually pay a sub? Hasn't helped. And now he's referring to a lot of the forums. If you look on the forums, there are a lot of topics like this. Okay, there has been some testing the waters lately from certain higher ups if we can remove the line, no king rules forever. Read into that what you will. This feels made up for me.
Yeah, this sounds a little bit too sci-fi. No kings rules forever.
For me, this is the first sign of, okay, it's 4chan. Come on, I don't think it's real. And like a lot of these
some pepper, some spice to the drama.
Do you really think a higher up from Blizz would go, man? You know that line from you know, the what is it, the King Menethil? No king lose forever, my son. You know, we should really drop that because apparently our game is not king. What the fuck, man?
Yeah, that's a little bit silly. I mean, sure, they removed the bitch from Garash's questline with Sylvanas when he called her that.
Yeah, fuck that. Okay, let's move along. There are still arguments going on about the Kelta's voice actor shit show. I don't know much about it, but I know it's heated. Wouldn't be the first time a knee-jerk reaction only seemed to generate bad press. We lost a noticeable amount of PvP engagement after the Swifty thing, which I don't really know exactly what he was referring to. The Preach interview, this is interesting. The Preach interview was treated as a disaster, and there was talk of more strongly vetting interviewers for bad actors, quote-unquote bad actors, and only engaging with a list of questions Blizzard provides. Now, we kind of know this for a fact because... well, in the small amounts of interaction we had with Blizzard reps, when there were talks about interviews or podcasts or anything like that, there was a specific list of things to talk about.
Yeah, there were a lot of restrictions what we were allowed to talk about, what we were not allowed to talk about.
True.
Yeah, and we needed to send in questions to be approved. Although to some extent that kind of makes sense, but it makes even more sense when they have things that they don't want to talk about.
Yeah, I mean, I can totally see why the Preach interview could have been treated as a disaster, because a lot of that shit.
I mean, honestly, transparency is a disaster nowadays.
Yeah, well, that's the thing. Ian did mention a lot of things within his interviews, especially with Preach, things that didn't really make sense or things that really didn't happen the way he said they would happen. So I can understand that, but let's move forward. Some pointed out that could just be used to create some form of fireside chat akin to the Final Fantasy XIV live letters, but that fell on deaf ears. So some people really wanted to make some sort of communication constantly with the community, but nobody really wanted it. Okay, now, again, guys, this is from a supposed leak from a Blizzard dev, okay? So this is actually the written things from the Blizzard dev. The two sentiments right now among the team are either we really need a win or there's a dedicated cabal of internet trolls out to kill WoW.
Cabal of internet trolls. I think I've heard this somewhere before.
I know. Listen, let me just put this out. So we don't like to be negative about anything. We are, if you look at our content, like our past content, we always like blasted Blizzard when it was a good enough reason to blast them, and we praised them in
I think we've been way more positive than negative.
Yeah, we don't like to talk about negative shit and focus on negativity just for the fuck of it or for the clicks. It is how YouTube works nowadays, but then again, we have to maintain that sense of logic. And I believe this thing with the cabal of internet trolls out to kill WoW is ridiculous.
That's exaggerated because I did there were some like weird Twitter interactions between devs and community figures that kind of really feel like some of them are not on the same page. Obviously, the cabal of internet trolls is an exaggeration, probably to paint the community in a very dramatic way. Because I mean, we all know that everybody just wants the game to be good. So
yeah, this is, and I honestly believe a lot of the content creators that actually talk shit about World of Warcraft. You know, I can think of Bedular here with his live podcasty thing that he does. I don't really believe he does it for the clicks. A lot of people accuse him for that. I really believe he cares for the game as we do and other content creators do. And just, you know, he has had enough with some things, same as us. So a cabal of internet trolls? I don't think so. It's all out of the love for the game. Now, right now we are crunching hard to get 9.2 ready to wrap up the Jailer storyline so we can get an expansion out early 2022. If that doesn't happen, there are talks of major shakeups coming down from Activision that have been threatened for a few years now. This rings true. Because
this doesn't make sense, because why would somebody like fabricate this kind of stuff? Now, an expansion early 2022 seems a little bit unlikely.
I don't think so. Judging by the cadence of the content right now, no. But I think it's more akin to the fact that Activision is really putting pressure on Blizzard because they really don't have nothing really slated and haven't had for such a long time.
That feels like it's true. That feels, because you can feel it as a player too. You can feel like it sounds a little bit cliche and a little bit Ardenwildy, but the game doesn't feel like it has its love anymore. It doesn't feel like it has the passion or the warmth that we kind of knew and grew up with over the years. So being pressured by the higher ups for a more pragmatic approach, for more, okay, do this by then, we need content, we need more money, we need an influx of players, kind of feels like, yeah, that doesn't, it feels true. It feels
the thing is, Blizzard for this year only has the Diablo Immortal and Diablo 2 Resurrected, and it's not looking like they're gonna have a major patch. I don't think so, at least this year. And even if they do gonna release a patch somewhere probably in October, maybe November, that's gonna be the end of the quarter for them. So in terms of like revenues and investor talks and all of that, they're in really deep waters. I can see Activision pressuring them for this, but let's carry on with this. So Activision, it's all hands on deck feeling that's been around to some degree since quote, is this an out of season April Fool's joke BlizzCon? So it's all hands on deck since then, which
2018.
Yeah. A make or break deadline is coming closer, and things like Diablo 4 were not at all planned before then. Blizzard needs a significant win, not just in initial profit, but consumer goodwill. Nobody likes working at what the public now seems to see as the bad guy of the MMO industry. I can see that.
Yeah, that makes sense. With all the devs leaving, I mean,
a lot of people left,
and
of course.
Obviously that takes out all the passion, all the like. I mean, Metzen left, Moriam left.
Those are our big boys, but
yeah, those are big boys. But we lost like Koliki as well recently. Yeah, well, not as recently, but
I don't know exactly what is happening within the WoW dev team, but it certainly feels as we are, you know, really dipped on, probably you guys as well, dipping a lot of types of content within WoW. We can definitely see something is not right within the WoW team. There's the content outside of raids and, you know, dungeons and stuff kind of feels more and more less as we move forward. I can understand COVID, and we talked about it a bunch. You know, the 9.0.5 being like the biggest patch ever. Like, you know, the release patch for Shadowlands. It's definitely something happening over there. We'll see if it makes it clear from the leak. This has always made new hires decline. Not significantly, but the quote, "You want Blizzard on your resume" line doesn't seem to have the appeal it used to. It makes sense.
Yeah, no surprise there.
This has led to more hiring via friend of a friend, to some rumblings about nepotism, and people severely lacking in experience because they get great Twitter optics. This sounds like bullshit to me, but I don't see why this will... I can see nepotism, but really, like,
I don't like as interested towards well, I mean, this sounds so weird to say that a company is interested in profit, but as brutal as Activision is when it comes to their turnarounds and their returns, I don't think they would hire anybody by their Twitter optics.
I don't get that. What? I mean, there's obviously, you know, a chat to be had around that, but I honestly don't believe they have this somewhere ingrained within their hiring procedures or whatever. Sounds like bullshit. But let's carry on. On the topic of Twitter, we are now being told to disengage from it. Multiple employees like Nervik and Halinsky publicly attacking paying customers because they got too heated and couldn't keep quiet is bad press. No shit. That could have been avoided. An email reminder has gone around more than once lately stating if you are not customer relations, you should not be representing the company to customers, especially if you cannot remain professional. Lastly, the biggest elephant in the room is your boy Asmongold. Okay, this has been the most funniest thing.
Yeah.
The newer hires cannot stand him. They have used terms like toxic masculinity and dog whistles to dangerous males, while some of the oldest crowd still remaining have called him based, or telling it like it is, which has led to friction, to put it mildly. People are told not to talk about him, and the recent FF14 stuff only made it all worse. The idea that an outside element can have such an effect on the product generally upsets people. I think it's referring to Blizzard. Like Zach is engaging in some malicious act of cyber warfare. What the fuck, dude? So, okay, now you can say whatever about Asmongold, right? Be it on you being a fan or not. Asmongold, when he goes into the Zach personality, okay, because there's the Asmongold personality on Twitch, which is usually more trolly, you know, more, and it's fine, it's entertaining, but the dude is smart, and the dude has logic. Plus, I don't think you can say Asmon does not love World of Warcraft. Dude, he has been one of the strongest advocates for WoW, and the fact that he had many streams, you know, underlining, you know, bad stuff from it, okay, I can understand negativity draws, but I don't believe he does it for that. He became popular not because of its negativity, but for other reasons, right? He's a success story, nevertheless. But this, I'm sorry,
toxic
man,
masculinity.
This sounds like
dog
bullshit.
Whistles to dangerous male. What are dangerous males?
I don't know. It's like, weird. I mean, okay, we can talk about the fact that that Blizzard dev actually called him an asshole on Twitter. That's real. And his reaction to it was exquisite. But I don't believe that the new hires actually think and evolve their philosophy on working on the game around the fact that Asmongold impacts the game in such a way. Like, what? Come on, this sounds bullshit. I think if this is somebody actually, you know, intentionally trying to stir up things, he would make use of something like this. Like, Asmongold is the reason shit is happening to WoW. It's like,
I think like, I don't. So this is what's a little bit confusing as well, because on one hand you have the devs being sent emails to not engage in customer relations tweets on Twitter or social media. I would imagine just it's all encompassed. If you're not in the customer relations department, but at the same time, you have people getting hired because of their Twitter optics. That doesn't make sense. That kind of butts head a little bit.
I think it's a lot to do with the fact that once Asmon started streaming Final Fantasy XIV, his stream exploded once again. And it was the argument. I mean, this is an argument Mark Kern also makes. I really recommend checking out his stream. We'll have it in the description as well with the photo from the 4chan thing. He actually mentions that you know, there are a lot of hungry World of Warcraft players right now searching for that alternative. So he makes the argument that this is why once Asmongold put his face on the Final Fantasy 14 stream, then a lot of people flock to that, which I can see it true. I can see, because we all know players that move to Final Fantasy. We have in our community.
Well, I mean, Asmongold is a big representation of the WoW community that has been playing WoW for a very long time. So if he is seen playing Final Fantasy, then a lot of people can go, oh, so everybody's doing this now. So that wouldn't be surprising, because if we're gonna be completely honest, a very likely a large number of WoW players would switch to Final Fantasy if the community of WoW would start playing Final Fantasy as a whole.
But a lot of people
if everybody, I might even play Final Fantasy 14 if all of my friends that play WoW, that I enjoy playing WoW with, would play. At least I would try it at the very least. So I can see that mentality going through, and I can see how Asmon actually streaming the game would get people to check Final Fantasy 14, or at least raise an awareness to this big thing, which is not new. I mean, Final Fantasy has been in competition with WoW for like years.
Yeah, but that's the thing, right? They were in a similar point to how WoW has become, starting from BFA and now even more to Shadowlands. They were in a similar point, and they said, fuck it, you know, let's
the route they took was very different than what we have.
It's basically, you know, they understood finally that, okay, we should just listen to these motherfuckers, and they blew up. But linking into that, many of us point out the now famous quotes by Naoki Yoshida, which I think is the dude who was responsible for FF14.
The name sounds familiar, but I don't remember exactly.
By Naoki Yoshida, about understanding that players will drift and we need to make something worth coming back to because they want to, but some people, for lack of a better word, see our customers or /consumer, as they refer to them nowadays, as some kind of antagonistic relationship where the goal is not being an entertainer putting on a show for a crowd, but some kind of game hunter trying to trap a large profitable kill. Which I can definitely see this in WoW currently. It's like basically you put in things within a game. We had this talk yesterday too. The gating on conquest and shit like that. It's like a trap to keep you there, and then you're gonna release it, and you know, and it's fine. It makes sense for this. It definitely makes sense. I wish I could blame Activision. This is interesting. I wish I could blame Activision, but this is a sentiment from more of the younger crowd than the tech boomers, which, personal opinion, is probably why so many folks like Metzen and Morheim left. Interesting.
That I don't know if it's true, but it would make sense. And obviously, this is why I'm so conflicted with all of this, but we'll get to this at the end as to why this is either real or not. Metzen and Morheim having a part to play in all of this.
Okay, before you ask, yes, the topic of wokeness has shown up in group talks. It's not all some grand SJW conspiracy. People really do want people to feel welcome and represented. Fair enough. However, the we need everything vetoed by people not working on it to see if it's inoffensive and bland enough rubs some of us the wrong way. Like anything in life, you can take something too far and lose sight of the core ideals, and with everything going on since Blitzchung, it feels like people are forming like little factions to pull people in different directions to decide what Blizzard's identity is now and how to appeal to new players. There has been some drop-offs with go woke, go broke as the only answer in the survey when unsubbing, but honestly, we are losing subs in unforeseen numbers. Anyway, and still making some more money than ever through still making more money than ever through the cash up heavy users. So it honestly doesn't make an impact. This again has been a topic of discussion. We talked about it in previous shows as well. Yeah. That they don't make their money from the subs anymore for a long time now.
That's actually funny. That's exactly what I pointed out on stream yesterday. That most of the WoW's revenue is most likely coming from the subs, but also from the heavy cash up. Because if the subs keep dropping and they keep releasing mounts, that means that the mounts are working and people are actually buying the mounts, because you have your average Joe that actually works a pretty good job but doesn't have the time to spend in the game and wants to translate all of that work and effort into World of Warcraft, and they buy mounts and things from the capture, so it does make sense.
And they also have their whales. I mean, people just buy stuff like crazy, like tokens and stuff like from big huge amounts. Okay, now last paragraph. All in all, things are rough right now. Blizzard doesn't have the love of the customers anymore, which is true. Is no longer treated as an industry giant. It is true. They lost that I would say, stigma of an industry giant. And while D4 and Diablo 2 Resurrected and Immortal aren't going to kill Diablo, even if they fail, the sentiment for World of Warcraft and Overwatch 2 are a lot more tense and stressful. The phrase, "it might be good to brush up on your mobile development portfolio if we get another underperformer," has been doing the rounds a lot, which, oh boy. If Shadowlands continues its stark decline and Overwatch 2 is looking to underperform like its current projections suggest, I think the Blizzard of a few years from now will be imitating King a lot more than trying to learn any lessons from Square Enix's MMO division. And I think this is bullshit, but
yeah, this last part seems a little bit just to stir up drama with the mobile stuff. The thing is, the mobile stuff is going to happen whether or not the games are completed, because if it is a very lucrative platform, they're going to develop there, they're going to grow there, whether or not WoW or Overwatch are doing good. So I think this is just to feed in the, oh my god, the games are so bad, we're just going to create a new community on mobile, which I don't think they want to create a new community. I think they want more communities in. That's the whole mobile platform design.
I get that. But like overall, I really don't believe this is true. This leak, it has some interesting, I would say, references to things that we talked about previously, that other people talked about, and definitely things that are being prevalent in forums and on Reddit and stuff. But there's a lot of shit there that really doesn't add up.
Doesn't make sense, because
it's 4chan.
if it was supposed to be true, why mix in bullshit? Because obviously not everything seems true.
Make an effort.
Some of them actually feel like they're legit stuff. But when you mix them in with bullshit, then you kind of question like, okay, well, why is the bullshit even there if that's the real stuff? So it's kind of feels like all of it is bullshit. However, I did want to point out the fact that when Metzen left, was like a cause, like, oh my god, what's going on?
Well, he did say he left because of
but
health issues.
Fair enough. But then Morheim left, and I was like, oh,
that was the point. Yeah, that was the point.
Okay, something stinks in the state of Denmark, or how that goes. But that was like, okay, Blizzard has a potential two paths to go on. Obviously the awesome path, the industry gen that we know of, or it might actually flop. And I did mention that they cannot afford another BFA. As far as World of Warcraft is concerned, they cannot afford another BFA.
Yeah, we're focusing on WoW here.
And obviously, Shadowlands had a lot of potential. We tested it in alpha and beta. They had a lot of potential to stand up and actually improve on things. And little by little, they stubbornly stuck to their own decisions. The Covenant lockup is one thing. The Conduit Energy is one thing. The tier sets is another thing.
They are coming. Hey.
This is exactly the conversation that we had on stream. Is like they constantly add systems upon. So after an expansion where the systems kind of killed the joy of the expansion, they've released a new expansion with all of those systems at the beginning, flooding the player. And then this was very apparent. 9.1, when I actually did the research and I actually put everything in front of me, is like, oh my god, there's so many new currencies and systems. This isn't what we talked about. This isn't what they said that they would do. And again, whenever the awareness is talking about the Preach interview, whenever awareness is risen about this, about, you know, why do the covenants have to be switched? Why do you have to gate player power, and why does it have to be inconvenient? For what reason? Who benefits from the fact that you are locked from switching too many conduits too often? Because from a different perspective, the conduits are supposed to be the talent rows or the new spells that we never had. You never have to you never had to switch talents and wait for 2 weeks to be able to play them. It's weird. It's a lot of stuff don't add up.
Yeah, with all of this, we have to give props where props is due. Shadowlands does have a lot of good things going for it as well. As always, we can never go wrong with, you know, a lot of the dungeons, you know, the raids.
The encounters are always good.
Tazavish is amazing, and, you know, Castle Natria was amazing. And I feel like, especially at the beginning of Shadowlands, there was a lot of excitement and there was wonders and stuff to go through. So it's not all bad. It's just, you know, this again, same talk. As you said, the systems are kind of killing it all the time, right? And we feedbacked a lot of it, but we never went on to it. It's just Rebecca, this sucks. We kind of always offered our feedback, you know, alternatives or possible solutions, but we're not game devs.
Yeah, and there are people more suited to feedback than we are, and they are giving feedback and they're not necessarily listened to.
Yeah, I mean, in terms of classes, we do the podcast and we always ask for them, you know, what works, what doesn't work, what would you change and stuff like that. That's our, I would say,
our contribution
to make. We care about the classes.
So the game is not bad, like I said, but after so many years of negativity, the bad just stands out a little bit more. And when the bad is continuously on the same track as before, when okay, we told you A is bad, but you keep doing A, then it kind of gets annoying after a while.
And it really ain't Asmongold's fault. Come on, man. If you wanna invent a leak like that, don't put that over there just like, you know, Asmongold. I mean, okay, we saw the answer to Asmongold, the reply from the WoW dev, you know, basically calling him an asshole and shit. I can see some Blizzard employees not liking Asmongold because, you know, nobody is obliged to like him or hate him. You know, it's subjective.
Well, when you have a strong personality, you're definitely gonna have people who like him, don't like you.
For sure. But to add that to directly impact
he's some kind of overlord of trolls that will overthrow.
On, he has a big community. You know, he has a big following. But you know, truth be told, man, he does love World of Warcraft. He did say he's not quitting WoW. He's taking a break from WoW, which, you know, I can understand.
I mean, that happens all the time.
He plays Final Fantasy, he enjoys Final Fighters, props to him. But he mentioned multiple times he still loves WoW, he still loves this game. So don't give me that, that was ridiculous. By the way, I think when reading through, I skipped a bit of the things. Part. Yeah, I know, just not to make it like a whole read-through of it, but I'll make my point on it because it was basically about Ian Hazzikostas and Jalen Brack. Basically praising Ian Hazzikostas on being a brilliant raid designer, which I can 100%
agree. All agree on that.
Definitely that, and also mentioning Jalen Brack that he being a genuine, kind and awesome human being, but they're just people that are put in some positions where they do not have experience with or talent. Like Ian Hazzikostas has been, you know, brought up from being a super nice raid designer onto being the game director, and you know that's weird.
I think there was a quote saying that Ian now has to design a world that he doesn't really care for. Now I think that's a little bit.
I don't think he doesn't care. I don't
think that either. But I think we can all agree that Ian designed maybe one of the best and coolest raids to play in. I personally enjoyed the raids in pretty much every expansion so far.
And WoW is known for the awesome raids, so you gotta give props. But to say, I don't think there's one WoW developer who doesn't care. I really don't believe that. I think all of them care. It's just a matter of vision, which apparently it lacks over there, or direction, a bigger goal and strategy. And possibly that argument can be true where people are put in places where they don't really have, you know, too many...
the experience or the drive to even...
They can excel at it, right? Even Jay, you know, he was, I think at some point he was game director for WoW, or he was somewhere over there, but he becoming president of Blizzard, I think, you know, it's a big burden to have, and especially with the Activision pressure coming in. Again, I really don't believe, and I'm pretty sure you share the same sentiment. I don't think they hate the game and they are actively trying to ruin it. I just think that thing about in the beginning that the leads live in this positivity dojo bubble, I can see that being true.
Yeah, and it's mostly to do with a lot of old devs just leaving the company, and now you just have this new blood, well, kind of new blood, but people that are kind of forced into positions just because there's really nobody else available. I mean, they did a lot of staff cutbacks, so it's kind of biting them in the butt right now.
Nothing from the dev team. They didn't cut anything from the dev team. They had a lot of people leave. This is true. A lot of people are leaving Blizzard, you know, they're constantly looking for higher ups. But anyway, we're really curious on what you think about all of this. Do you think it's real? Do you think it's fake? I think it's fake. It's but you know, let us know in the comments what you think, and let's start a conversation about it. And
speaking of conversation, do you know what? Patreon segue, never mind. Thank you, dear Patreons, for supporting our content. We actually do love to talk openly about things like these and things that affect the game and how it affect our community as well. Obviously, we do love the guides and everything that we do, and that's everything that you support, the podcast, the guys, the WoW News Show, the tier list, the streams, and everything on the Marcelian&Flame platform. So we really thank you very much.
Thanks so much. And hey, if you wanted to join the Patreon team, check the link in the description. There's some awesome perks over there. But other than that, thank you for watching, and have a great week ahead.
Take care.
Great week.
I've been loving it then, I still love it now. Still, I play WoW. Still, I play WoW. Getting better every day, let me show you how. Cause still, I play WoW. Still, I play WoW. It's getting harder to stay, but at the end of the day, it's a guilty pleasure, so just log in and play. Whether it's classic or retail, I'ma do a /bow. Still, I play WoW.